Ready?
Yes, sir.
Rupali ma'am, please.
Yes, sir. Hello and welcome everyone for the webinar organized by International Simulation and Gaming Association and Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya Indore, India. Today is the 14th webinar in the ISAGA webinar series. Topic of the webinar is simulations and training games through live online delivery. And we have with us the legend of gaming and simulation for the webinar series, Dr. Sivaselam Tyagarajan from USA as speaker. Before the beginning of session, I would like to invite Dr. Upinder Dhar, Conference Chairperson ISAGA 2021 and Vice Chancellor of Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya Indore for the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon from India. At the outset, I would like to welcome Dr. Tyagi, internationally acclaimed and highly respected expert in the discipline of simulation and gaming, Professor Bimaria Maitri, Director IIM Nagpur, all other respected members of ISAGA from various countries who have joined us, all other guests from India and nearby countries. Welcome to this 14th webinar. We started this series last year to remain connected with each other so that we can share what we are doing and also learn from each other. So far, as already mentioned, 13 webinars have been held by various members of ISAGA from different countries very successfully, and all those webinars have been very well received. And today we are having another webinar, and I'm sure that with Dr. Tyagi's deliberation, everybody will be benefited. Everybody knows about his expertise, and everybody has been looking for this webinar. So, not spending much time on introductory part, I once again welcome you all, and I'm sure that we'll be richer in our understanding by the end of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Before inviting sir for the webinar, I would like to introduce sir. Dr. Sivaselam Tyagarajan Tyagi has been designing and delivering interactive training workshops in 52 locations around the world. For the past 15 years, he has been working on live online training. He is the author of 40 books and the designer of hundreds of simulation and games, including the award-winning cross-cultural simulation Baranga. Mr. Tyagi has been the 7-time president of the North American Simulation and Gaming Association and 2-time president of International Society for Performance and Instruction, ISPI. He has presented several keynotes at ISAGA and is a member of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor, AATH. I once again welcome to Dr. Sivaselam Tyagarajan Tyagi for the webinar and request him to please start the session.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rupali. And thank you, Dr. Dar. Thank you for inviting me. And a special thanks to Dr. Dubey, who is coordinating my efforts. And most importantly, special thanks for my Anna, for my mentor, Dr. Dumbledore. He has told me exactly what I should do today and what I should not do today. And I shall follow his advice. And everything I'm going to be talking about, I learned from this book. And so thank you for hey, everybody has a copy of the book. Very highly recommended. All you need to know is learn how to read Japanese and you'll be an expert. Okay, so that takes care of all of the things. My family, members of my family live in Tamil Nadu, and I have been in constant contact. And I begin with a prayer for all of the COVID victims, all of the people struggling to get oxygen, and may they all get make progress very quickly, very easily. Today, I'm going to explore the concept of LOLAs. LOLA stands for Live Online Learning Activities. LOLAs are games, simulations, communications, presentations, things that are done on live online area. And long time ago, my PhD research was on doing a secondary analysis of how people learn. And I can summarize that into a single sentence. People learn when they act and when they interact. Without interactivity, without activity on the part of the learners, nothing is going to happen. One of the principles is those who do most of the talking learn the most. Right now, only I'm learning. You're all enjoying daydreaming, and Elena is thinking of the lake and the mountains behind her. So that's what is going to happen. And my plan today is to force you into interacting. You can talk to me, you can open your mic and talk to me, you can send me chats, and I know many of you don't have access. But here is the real secret. I'm telepathic. I'm psychic. So when I ask you a question, just think of the answers. I will pick your brain and we can keep on going. I was told that I should limit my presentation for 45 minutes and spend 10 minutes in a question and answer session. So I'm going to turn it around. Folks, this concludes my presentation. I'm now ready for questions and answers. Okay, I received the first question telepathically. The first question is what should we be ready to participate? I'm going to ask my friend who is in charge of slides, is in charge of the whole program. So, Dr. Dubey, can you ask my slide master to get the slides on screen? Good, excellent. This is the introductory slide. So far, so good. Next slide, please. Look, this is a miracle. This is artificial intelligence. All I have to do is to say next slide, and the next slide automatically appears. Wonderful. So, for you to be ready, can you have some paper and a pencil, please? This is place where you can write stuff. And if you don't have paper and pencil, just pretend you have some paper and pencil. And if you cut your index finger, use your nail, you can take notes. And I want you to have a glass of water. I don't want you to be dehydrated. So have a glass of water. And the three most important things I want you to have is enthusiasm. If you're not enthusiastic, if you're too sleepy like me, or it is time for you to take a after lunch siesta, just to fake it. Pretend you're enthusiastic. Do a role play. Use your imagination. I want you to be resilient. So, in case there are technological glitches, just to pretend I'm talking. May I have the next slide, please. Wow, the miracle continues to happen. Here are the objectives for my session today. I'm not suffering from the delusion that in a short webinar, I should be able to achieve major outcomes. And this webinar has to be supplemented by your activities. And I have sent out a couple of notes, handouts, manuals, what you want to call them, and they will keep you busy for the next 2 days. If you finish them, then learn Japanese and read this book. So here are the 4 chronological levels of objectives. 60 why, that stands for 60 years from now. In addition to what's happening today, I would like for you to continue learning, reading the books, most importantly, doing Lolas and using them with the people you communicate with, you teach, or you just talk to others online. And if you continue doing this and getting feedback from the world, at the end of the next 60 years, when you become as old as me, you would have become rich and famous. You would have become as rich as Vinod Dambulkar, and you would have become as famous as Elena. So you will have become rich and famous because of your use of the concept of Lolas, which I already explained to you. That's what is happening 60 years from now. The next bullet, 60 minutes from now, anytime you do training or presentation or communication, anytime you're online, you keep remembering the most important thing is interaction, communication among you and your participants, among your participants and your content materials. So that is what is going to happen 60 months from now, just to make sure you can do calculation. 60 months, how many years is that? Right. Okay, good. And the next bullet, 60 weeks from now. What I want you to be doing is use live online learning activities whenever appropriate. When are these activities appropriate? Anytime you want to communicate with other people. And the last bullet, 60 minutes after today's session finishes, I want you to turn into a boring human being. Anytime you meet anybody, you give them a lecture on the wonders and the advantages of Lola. I want you to become very enthusiastic, so enthusiastic, you're going to be boring people and you're going to be making sessions and those and so on. So those are my objectives. But my objectives don't matter. It all depends on what your objective is. And whatever your objective is, I will try to help you achieve them. And given all of those, I'm going to start exploring Lolas. And next slide, please. Good. I'm going to do an activity. Instead of just talking about an activity, I'm going to do an activity, a Lola, called prediction. What's happening in this? I'm going to ask you an open-ended question. I want you to write as many different answers as possible. If you got pencil, write in it. If you can go to chat, write in there. If you can open your mic and talk to me, do that. You can do it any way you want to. And so, next slide, this is my question. Why is more webinars, especially more training webinars, so boring? Go ahead, write it on a piece of paper, think about your statement. What makes webinars so boring? I'm sure you have been attending different webinars. You're attending one. Ah, I can see what Elena is writing. She's writing, webinars are so boring because the presenter, the facilitator is talking in a boring, monotonic voice. Correct. So keep writing. Thank you. And if you don't want to write, just think of the answer. Good. Please stop if you are using the chat and may have the next slide, please. Ah, this is what happens to make this activity a game or a simulation or whatever you want to call it. Here is what I want for you to do. I have used this activity with a lot of previous sessions all around the world. And I have collected the responses to the question, what makes webinars so boring? And I have done a multiple regression analysis. I have put these responses from the previous paper in order of frequency. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you now, can you make a prediction of what will be among the top 6 responses to the question from the previous paper? You can think of your prediction, you can write down your prediction, you can type your prediction in the chat, and every time you make a prediction which is correct, which is similar to what my collection contains, you get 218 points. And the person with the highest number of points will get a special prize. Dr. Dumbledore will send you a BMW. Are you ready? So start making your predictions, please. Dr. Shukla, that is a perfect prediction. Okay, folks, let us see my top 6 high frequency responses to the question, what makes webinars boring? Next slide, please. So, one of the major complaints collected from the previous groups, webinars are boring because there is no interaction. No interaction with the content being presented, no interaction among the participants. For example, Dr. Dubey does not get to talk to Elena. And there is no interaction between me, the facilitator. Nobody's yelling at me. Nobody's making sarcastic remarks about me. Lack of interaction is what makes most webinars boring. So my plan today is to make my interaction non-boring by making people interact. Fortunately, With my mind reading ability and telepathy, we can interact mind to mind. I'm a Klingon. Next slide, please. And here is another high frequency response. Even when the facilitator asks questions, these are stupid questions like, what is the weather like in Moscow or in Tokyo or in wherever you are? The questions have no relevance to the training topic being asked. So one of the things I decided, I'm going to ask you questions that are related to live online learning activities only. So if you wrote something to the effect, trivial questions or something like that, you get another 184 points. Keep accumulating your points because I'm not going to count them. And the next slide, please. Third popular response to the question is the facilitator merely reads the slides displayed on the screen, like I'm doing now. So I decided today I'm not going to be reading, I'm going to be just blabbering in front of you. Next slide. Fourth high frequency response. Technical glitches. Everything is going fine. Suddenly the screen disappears or the slide does not move. So that could be another reason. And I have decided to avoid all technical glitches because I have a wonderful slide changer. Next slide, please. The content presented in this session is not related to your workplace. To prevent this from happening, I want you to keep thinking, is this an idea that is demonstrating which I can immediately plagiarize? Can I steal this idea? Can I use this idea the next time I communicate through the online learning or online activities? And next slide. Here is item number 6. The participants suffer from physical discomfort, and Dr. Dubey is uncomfortable because he's sitting on the slide on the seat for the last 24 hours. He's single-handedly running the whole show. So anytime you feel like standing up, please do so. Lying down, please do so. You want to get comfortable and want to do something, you are independent and permitted to do anything you want. So we talked about the 6 popular responses to the question, what makes webinars, online communication so boring? And we have come up with 6. You have kept a score. And the next slide, please. Just to remind you, in case you did not keep your score, here are the 6 items again. Look at those 6 items and look at all of the scores. And if you got the top score, here is your prize. I'm holding up a blank piece of paper. This is blank material for writing. And when I acronymize it, it is B blank, material M, writing W. It's a BMW. So if you got the highest score, you get a BMW with the courtesy of Dr. Dumbledore. So congratulations. You have won. Next slide, please. What we did was an activity called prediction. You can call it anything you want. You can call it simulation. You can call it play. You can call it a game. But the main idea is this activity is a template. I'm going to bisect, I'm going to do a pulling out of the parts of the activity. And as we can see on the next slide, please, this is the structure of the prediction activity. Step one, when you want to steal it, when you want to use it, you ask an open question. So let us see, okay, what does Elena train other people? Elena says leadership skills. It is obvious she's a leader. So if she wants to use the prediction activity, she begins by asking everybody, what do you think is the most important quality or characteristic of a leader? Please type it in the chat area. So she is collecting inputs from the participants because participants know a lot of stuff. And she invites them to type the answers. And then Elena says, I have collected answers from the previous groups. I'm going to ask you to predict what will be the high frequency answers about leadership characteristics. And so Elena displays the answer she got from before. She wants people to collect the information. And most importantly, she relates the activity, the responses people gave to what she's going to say. So many of the people said that one of the characteristics of leaders is the ability to control and command. Unfortunately, my research indicates that is not true. Command and control is no longer perceived to be a leadership quality. Let me explain why it is so. So Elena continues her activity. So I'm going to shut up for the next 30 seconds. I shall be playing the sitar in the background. Here is what I want for you to do. The next time you communicate with somebody, either for training or for any other purpose online, can you use the predict template in what you're doing? Think how we can steal this idea. Okay, time's up, folks. If you are not able to come up with an idea on how to recycle this idea, some of you say, oh, no problem, I can immediately use it. Some of you can say, I have no clue how to use it. Doesn't matter. Keep struggling. Look at the book. And there is a glossary. The book looks like this, and the glossary contains 24 different types of live online learning activities. And here is what I'm going to be doing. I know the people whose pictures I can see have access to a mic. Can anybody from that group, please open your mic and tell me what you would like to do next? Or if you don't know what to do next, tell me anything, something, so I will not move to the next step unless I hear from at least one of you who has a mic available. I'm going to shut up.
That was very interesting. I'm looking forward to the next part.
Okay, thank you. Obviously, Jakota is a born leader. While the rest of you are wondering what to do, she jumped in and she must have taken Elena's leadership webinar. Okay, she says she wants to go to the next part. Hello, may I have the next slide, please? Hey, here is another type of This is called a thought experiment. I'm going to ask you to do a thinking kind of activity because you already know I'm psychic and I want you to follow the instructions given there, and I want you to do this activity just for 30 seconds because Jakoda's attention span is very limited. She cannot keep thinking for more than 30 seconds. Next slide, please. Here are the instructions. You can read, follow the instructions. The most important instruction is the third bullet. You can think of anything you want, but don't think of green monkeys. I'm going to wait for 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds finished. Good. This is when I ask the participants, how many of you thought of green monkeys, could not avoid thinking of green monkeys? If you thought of green monkeys, please raise your hand. Usually, 80% confess they thought of green monkeys. The other 20% are suffering from a state known as denial and delusion. So the main learning point is if you force yourself not to do something, you tend to do it. That is your monkey brain. That is what is happening. And I use this, Lola, this activity as a part of my session on positive psychology, on how to stop rumination, how to stop worrying, how to stop thinking about when is this session going to come to an end? Is he going to be keeping on forcing me to interact? Not to worry. How many of you, what technique, by the way, did you use to stop yourself from thinking about green monkeys? Can I have the next slide, please? This slide is a collection of the answers you had for preventing you from making your monkey brain jump here and there. One of the things people do to stop worrying, if you worry too much, obviously you guys are very mature people, you don't worry too much, but if you tend to worry too much, then focus on your breathing. Keep breathing in and breathing out. Keep counting. You'll be so focused on the counting of your breathing, you'll not have time or brain bandwidth to think about worrying. Or keep repeating a mantra. keep saying ISAGA 2021, ISAGA 2021, and keep saying it again and again and again. You're focusing on keeping your mantra going on. Alternatively, you can say, hey, I don't want to think about you know what, because I can think about it at 5 o'clock this evening as much as I want. So right now, I will not think about it. Paradoxical therapy. Walter Frankl says, if you don't want to think about something, keep thinking about that. Thinking non-stop about that. You'll so get bored, you won't think about green monkeys anymore. And accept your obsession. Tell yourself, I want to think about green monkeys. That's okay. That's what I am. That is my personality. I'm an INFP. Green monkeys are good. I'm going to think about it. So, this is one approach, and we go in detail in the workshop on how to prevent rumination on each one of these and talk about it. So this again is a live online learning activities where you don't have you don't need paper, you don't need pencil, you don't need the slides, you don't need anything. All you need is your ability to think. Thank you, Jagoda, for asking me to do that. Let me see, what does she want next? Ah, she wants another activity. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Good. Here is what I'm going to be doing. Jagoda, would you like to see a dirty picture?
Well, I will not admit it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Next slide, please. Jagoda, here is a dirty picture. Here is me holding a big playing card.
It's a Banga card, isn't it?
Ah, Banga cards. Just for your information, that's not me. That is my evil twin brother. I don't have a mustache. That guy has a mustache. Okay, Jagoda, can you talk to me? Can you unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted.
In a deck of playing cards, in a pack of playing cards, how many cards are there? What is the total number of cards?
That's a tough question. I have long not played any game, any card game. I need I need someone to help me out in this.
Okay, anybody can help her out. Or unmute yourself and give her the answer. This is mutual learning.
I think 52 cards plus Joker. 53.
Okay, 52 cards plus Joker. But Jagoda is a serious person, no Joker. So 52 cards, Jagoda. So far, so good. Don't forget it. This is extra learning for you. Jagoda, the cards come in two different colors. Some of them are black and some of them are red. Jagoda, which color do you prefer? Choose between black or red.
Red.
Oh, I knew you would say that. You're a romantic kind of a person. She likes red cards. We'll throw away all of the black cards. How many red cards do we have, Jagoda?
Well, 26.
Wow, she's mathematically talented. 26. 52 divided by 2 is 26. That's wonderful. These 26 cards come in two different suits. Some of them are diamonds, they look like this, and some of them are clubs, they look like a clover. Oh, no, 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 no. Diamond and hearts. Some of them are hearts, some of them are diamond. Which one do you like? Hearts
Hearts,
or
of course.
hearts,
A
of course.
romantic person likes hearts.
Still a romantic. So there are 13 hearts cards. Jagoda, take them. So you have all of the black cards, you have all of the hearts cards. That leaves only the diamond cards for me to fool around with. Okay, in diamonds, Jagoda, some of them have pictures like Jack, Queen, and the King. Some of them have numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer picture cards or
We
number
take
cards?
picture cards, and the
Very
queen
good.
preferably.
Okay. You take all picture cards just to prevent gender bias. You can have the Jack, you can have the Queen, you can have the King. You have taken those three cards. That leaves only 10 numbered diamond cards. Hey, Jagota, you are on a roll. Do you like odd numbers or do you like even numbers?
Odd numbers.
Wonderful. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 9. 1, 3, 7, 5, 9. There are 5 odd numbered cards. Since you like them, you take them. That leaves only even numbered diamonds. Jagoda, do you like high even numbers or low even numbers?
Low even numbers. I'm waiting
Okay,
for the trap.
that is 2 and 4. Wonderful. You like low even numbers? Take 2 and 4. That leaves 6, 8, and 10. Of these three cards, 6 are diamonds, 8 are diamonds, 10 are diamonds. Which card would you like to give to Dr. Namit Gupta?
The 8.
The 8 of diamonds. So
Yes.
Namit takes 8 of diamonds. That leaves 6 and 10 of diamonds. Of these two cards, which card would you like to take? 6 or 10 of diamonds?
Me again? Or yes.
Yes. You're
I'm taking the 10.
You're taking the 10. Good. We started with the 52 cards. We threw away cards. You took some cards. We did all kinds of things. You are taken the 10. What one card does it leave?
The 6.
The 6 of diamonds. May we have the next slide, please? Wow. She is psychic. She is brilliant. She's a leader. She's a telepath. Congratulations. And I'm sure many of you, being very, very smart, have figured out how I did this stupid magic trick. Hey, folks, this is how I did. And this is what I want for you to do. Go home, take a deck of cards, take one of the cards, any cards, and put it away. It could be any card you want, and put that card, hide it inside an envelope, and you call your significant other and say, honey, do you like red cards or black cards? The important thing you got to remember, the only thing you got to remember is you got to remember which card you put inside the envelope. Let us say I put the 5 of clubs inside the envelope. So my spectator says, when I ask him, what color do you like? Let us say he likes red cards. Is 5 of clubs, 5 of clover, is that a red card or is that a black card? That's a black card. So what I will say, good, you like red cards, you keep the red cards. I will play just with the black cards. Ah, but what if he said black cards? You say, wonderful. I knew you will choose black cards. So let us play only with black cards. Let's throw away all of the red cards. The secret is ask an open question. Whatever response the person gives, you are a facilitator. You go with the response given by the spectator, by your participant. Can we go to the next slide, please? one of the facilitation techniques. I have written a book on facilitation, and the subtitle for the book is called Let the Inmates Run the Asylum. Whoever are your participant, let them control the learning activity. So you trust your participant. You ask them a question, what leadership characteristic do you like? And whatever answer they give, you use it to build your training. You keep your eyes on the prize. That means remember your objective. Whatever input they give, you use it efficiently and you continue doing this. So this is an example of a technique called magic rollers, doing a magic trick and using that to build your training. I will follow this by talking about facilitation activities. Let me shut up for a moment. And that is because it is time for me to shut up and move on to the next thing. But let me see if anybody has any questions or comments or sarcastic remarks or demand for refunding your registration fee. One of the important skills of being a facilitator is keeping your mouth closed until somebody says something. Let us see who is going to win this stalemate.
I have a question about the previous exercise with the card. What context, what learning context do you use it? What are the key learning points for the participant?
A key learning point is you got to be a facilitator by thinking on your feet. Whatever the participants tell you, whether they say black or red, you got to make use of it. And if they say the most important quality for a leader is the ability to kill people, you say, good, maybe that's a good idea, but maybe it is an illegal idea. So you use whatever people tell you to build your
So,
idea.
so the learning context is a learning environment for facilitators to you use it
For leaders, for facilitators,
leaders. Okay.
for anybody, for human beings, including men and women. Anybody who wants to do it, don't force your ideas on other people. Ask a question, let them respond to your question. Use it to build your communication. Does that make sense, Jagoda?
Yes, thank you very much.
By the way, am I saying your name correctly?
Jagoda.
Yagoda. Thank you. It
Thank
almost
you.
sounds like a Hindu name, Yagoda. Thank you very much. By the way, not too many people know this, but I gave Yagoda 50 euros and told her, you keep asking questions anytime I ask somebody to ask questions.
50 euros and 52 cards.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to shut up and ask somebody, Dr. Dubey, what is happening next? Or Dr. Dumbledore?
Dr. Tyagi, if you would like to make your concluding statements, after that I could pass you on to the question and answer session that will follow.
Wonderful. Folks, this is my concluding statement. Full stop.
Thank you, sir. I think we had fun during the day, but I'll pass you on to Mrs. Rupali to take it on from here nowadays, from now on.
Thank you.
Yes, madam. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to request panel members to please ask queries. And I request participants to write their questions in the Q&A tab.
Could we please close my slides so people can see? Thank you. Wonderful.
I think there are some questions in the question and answer box, Q&A box.
No, sir, that are all chats, not the questions.
Okay, questions? Anybody has questions? Or everybody is still immersed in the state of pleasure?
It was actually wonderful to attend this session because some very basic ideas and very basic concepts have been given by Dr. Tyagi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You see, how do we elaborate that? Let the inmates run the asylum. How do we elaborate this?
By keeping your mouth closed, asking a question, and being patient.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is especially addressed to the person who's probably one of the wisest people in simulation and gaming and training for perhaps 4 or 5 decades. That's probably 2 generations, much more than the careers of many of us. What is the definition of fun and how is it connected to challenge?
Dr. Toshika is the wisest person. She will give the answer, and I will then try my answer.
Okay. Very difficult.
Yes.
It's a kind of synonym for play or life itself, if I could say.
Good.
Yeah. And sometimes it could be a synonym for pleasure. Life is fun, life is pleasure, and life is pleasure.
Thank you. Let me share with you, if I may, Dr. Dambulkar, what I learned from Rabindranath Tagore. Long time ago, there is a passage which struck in my mind forever and ever. In that thing, Tagore says, life requires you to take serious things playfully with fun, and fun things seriously. The important part of life, as Dr. Toshika said, is make life both serious and fun. Take serious things with fun and fun things seriously. That has been my motto, and I do serious research on fun, which makes it boring. By the way, I don't believe in fun. If you don't believe me, check with my wife. She said the last time we had fun was in 1954. I don't make my training fun, but I make my training totally engaging, totally immersive. Fun is different from engagement. Fun is different from immersion. Fun has an unpleasant connotation. It is something artificial. I want everything, every communication, every training you do to be so engaging and so immersive that you don't, it becomes intrinsically motivating. The end. By the way, before I forget, I have a special thanks for the person who was changing the slides. Dr. Dubey, what is his name? Is his name Gaurav?
Mr. Gaurav Srivastav.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Professor Maitri, any question? You have to unmute yourself, please.
I think I enjoyed the session, unique way of engaging the people, making persons to think. Great.
Play with the book. Read it. And if you want to go to the next step, read this book. Thank you, everybody.
Tyagi, one question is there in the QS section. It is asked by Manohar and Muttusemi. Can online training contracted for a duration of 6 hours a day, which we used to do in a face-to-face training session setup?
Wonderful question. There is a delusion that people get burned out after an hour and 15 minutes of online training. Last week, I conducted a training with Alex Schiller, my German friend. That online training lasted for 3 whole days, 8 hours a day for 3 days. It is not online learning, online training, which is difficult to maintain. It is boring training, which you cannot do for 3 days. The boring training could be face-to-face training, could be online training, could be video training, as long as your training is engaging, you can keep it going for any number of hours, any number of days. So if people keep thinking you cannot do online learning for a long period of time, check my calendar in my website and you will see there are many sessions that are 3 days long or 6 days long. It doesn't matter as long as your focus is on engaging training, whether it is online or non-online, doesn't matter. And by the way, votes for women, says Toshika Kikawa. There is a sign behind you. She's getting pregnant.
Votes for women.
And if you don't watch out, women will take over ISAGA.
See, if a session is engaging, does that mean that there will be lesser questions?
No, because to make my session engaging, I'm forcing people to ask questions. So there will be more questions. And if you want to know, Yagoda will ask the next question. I will give you 50 more euros.
Yagoda has already asked the next question. She says it concerns the Banga game. He says, have you found a good way to run it online?
Yes. The key thing, Banga, by the way, is a boring game. It's a game I dislike the most. But the key point in Banga is different people don't know they are playing by different games. So the online version of Banga, this is what I do. I ask everybody to choose a red card or a black card, any red card, any black card. Now I send three people in groups of three to the breakout room. I'm using Zoom. I send them to breakout rooms. I tell them I'm sending you the instructions on how to play the game. You hold the card, the other person holds the card, the third person is a judge. If both the cards are of same color, you get 2 points. If one of them is black, another one is red, red gets 5 points and black gets 0 points. So some people get this email instruction. The other people get the opposite instruction. They are told, hold a card. If both cards are of same color, you get this many points. So you can change it. You can mess with it any way you want. The secret is give two different sets of rules for people, have them get together in the breakout room and keep score, and they go crazy because in one breakout room he gets the high point for having red cards. In another another breakout room, he gets 0 point for having a red. Think about it. It will take some time for you to figure it. It can be played in 5 minutes. You can cheat any way you want to. So the
Do you keep the rule of not talking, of keeping silence when they're playing?
anything you want, you are the game master. You
Yes, I know.
decide. You decide whatever rules you want to. Yes, I tell them not to talk, and the third person in the breakout room is to keep track of the scores.
Okay,
Announce.
thanks. Thank you. I was
Yeah.
curious of your experience because I tried to do it in breakout rooms on Zoom, but people needed to talk because I didn't think of the judge, and that lowered the experience because they solved the conflicts quickly.
Yes, you can solve any conflict you want as long as you talk to Yogoda.
Thank you, Tyagi, very much.
Thank you,
I
Elena.
think we had a very interesting and absorbing session, engaging session. Thank you very much, Professor Tyagi. Now we can take the session forward.
Thank you, sir.
Jasu.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session. Now I request Dr. Vinod Namblekar, founder of Mentis, to propose words of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rupali. Dr. Tyagi, I don't know where to begin. I first met you in 2004 in Munich, where I was mortified to find that you were carrying one of my heavy suitcases. And that was a journey of almost 100 meters. I didn't know what to do. The suitcase was pretty heavy in any case. And finally I surrendered. We met again, at least at Dawn Bean, perhaps a couple of other times. I met your wife, Mrs. Tyagi, as well. It was fun to see your presentations at all these places. They were different. I think you brought in a different color to what was learning and how learning could be enhanced from a different angle. You use virtually no props except the playing card. One playing card I found in the Mumbai airport, which I told you later about it, which showed that your signs of being everywhere on earth. Mumbai, and then I found you again in Gurgaon some years later. Thank you for a very engaging session today. Your years of experience with exploring and experimenting, with learning, with simulations and games as a background is phenomenal. Of course, many of us use very expensive resources like computer application software behind it, etc., etc. But you have managed to go around it and leave us with a lot of fun and thinking. Today's session was wonderful. Thank you for being here. With the kind of participation by other people who are here among the panelists, such as Elena, Toshiko, and Yagoda, I think the questions became more fun. I'm very happy that to see Dr. Maitri also here amongst our panelists. He is going to be our next speaker. We're waiting for him. I'm holding my breath, so to speak. I'm thankful to all of you to be present here. Dr. Dar and Mrs. Dar, they come here despite many other obvious tasks and responsibilities. Dr. Dubey is there virtually at every small problem. He is the person who solves the problems. I only appear to be the face. I'm only in the middle, but most of the problem solving happens at Dr. Dubey's table, so to speak, and his colleagues who are probably invisible. Some of them you can see, like Mrs. Rupali and Dr. Rajavat and others. Thank you for a very engaging session. We probably have a dozen more speakers before we hit September. I hope, I don't know, I hope our COVID goes away maybe tomorrow morning. From 3 lakhs, I hope our countdown comes to 0, and hope we to see all of you at Indore. Good day. Good morning, good evening, good night. I know we are covering all the 24 hours across the globe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dambulkar. Do I get any certificate also?
Yes, sir. I want to talk to you sometime whenever you're free. I would like to talk to you more. Whenever you're free, I would like to talk to you about many other things. So just call me, please, because it'll be faster that way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Tyagi will be joining us on 6th of September, first day of ISAGA 2021.
Yes,
you have to be here. Please block your diary.
Thank you.
And before that, at some of these sessions, at these webinars as well, his presence will be a very good, like a card, encouraging us to ask questions, encouraging us to learn differently. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Namaste from India.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I request all participants to please fill the feedback form as mentioned in the chat box. And I once again thanks to the speaker, Dr. Sivaselam Tyagarajan, and all panel members and Vice Chancellor and all participants. Thank you once again. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, Dr. Tyagi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dubey.
Very much, Dr. Tyagi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.